It's our 33rd day on Eric's 1962 Chevy pickup. Today I'm going to be going ahead and finish off our body work we did last time. It's been sitting over the weekend, so I'm just going to put a little bit of wax and grease remover on there. You want to do this if stuff's been sitting a while. Somebody might put their hands on it, and we don't want to grind the grease or any dirt into our paint or primer. Last time we started with 80 grit and we worked our way down to 150, 220, 320, 400. This time we're going to start off at, it depends on how thick I shot the primer on there. I might start off at 150 or 220. A lot of times I'll do a quick rub with old sandpaper just to kind of get off the tough crusty top layer. And then I'll go with 220 right after that, 320 and 400, and then we'll see how it looks. So first I'm going to put I guess I'll put 220 on this. And again, when the sandpaper is nice and new, you want to do large open areas because doing nooks and crannies and corners will chew your teeth off quicker. So we'll sand the quarter panel first because it's the large open area, and then after the sandpaper is worn up a little bit, we'll finish off this right here. Alright, you see me mask this off right here. I'll pull it off periodically and make sure that I don't have anything unattractive going underneath. And then I'll just mask it back up. So we'll just clean this up a little bit and mask it back up, and then we'll sand this down too. So occasionally while sanding, you'll get little tuffets built up on the sandpaper. You want to knock those off just as quick as you can. You can generally see it kind of do a muddy scratch across the primer when they happen. So you just get a little bit of scratch pad and you just get those little nubbies off of there so they don't mar up the finish. So now I'll put on some 320, we'll go back outside and do the quarter panel. Now even if we're using a high-grade primer on this to do a fog coat, it's still likely to gum up your 320 and 400 grit sandpapers. So we'll take a little scratch pad and we'll just lightly go over this. Okay, now let's say we're doing this and we don't like the way it looks. This is looking good, but we find some imperfections, some 180 grits, little pits, air bubbles we didn't catch. We'll take a little bit of glazing putty and we'll put it on there, and then let it dry up and then sand it off. Glazing putty again is a lot like Bondo, it's a lot like filler, it's just the particulates are a lot smaller. You can't use it as Bondo, you can only use it as to fill in little pits and scratches, but if you have a low spot, you're not going to be able to use that to fill it in. If you have low spots still, then just sand it down, put some more filler on, or take it all off and try to knock the dent out more. You know, better to take the time now, because later it's going to be a lot more of a hassle. So now I'll go ahead and put another black fog coat on this. I'll hit it with a 400 jitterbug, just so that I can be sure that no long scratches or anything like that still hiding up under here. Okay, so this is typical of what it looks like when you get done with your first sand. You'll hit larger areas of filler, and you'll get some shiners of the metal and things like that. And on our final coat of primer, we want it basically like we wanted our filler coat. We want a nice even sheet across here. We don't want Bondo, metal, paint, Bondos. You know, we don't want the zebra effect, because this here can phantom up and show up later. And you can just hit this with a sealer coat too if you just want to do it a little bit quicker and stuff, but preferably the final coat will have very little or none of this filler and shiners shining through. So we'll get a little wax and grease remover on there. On any place we've got metal, we'll hit our acid edge primer, and then the rest of it we'll do our filler primer. And again, this filler primer out of rattle cans generally isn't that good. You got to shoot it on real thin. So we've got these all filler primered now. We'll let these sit overnight, and then we'll just do a light 320 tomorrow, and we'll be all ready to paint these. We'll be reusing our old bolts. So I just get an old jar like this here, toss in some metal cleaner, some acetone, whatever I've got a lot of, put them all in there, and do a little shake for a while. You can also get those rock polishers, put a little bit of sand in and let them tumble over for a little while, and they also have tumblers that are specific to cleaning nuts and bolts. So we'll just let these clean up and soak a bit, and then we'll shoot them all black after a little while. At some time in the past, this hood had been caught in the wind or pushed open too far, and you can see how this gap here is a little bit too big. So I've gone and got some old beat up hood hinges. I'm going to take the pair of these and I'm going to go ahead and weld it onto a beam, and then I'll lay the hood down, and I'm going to try to bend those back and see what kind of luck we get. first I'm just kind of shooting a light fog coat on this. I'll let that dry up a little bit, and then I'll shoot the subsequent layers of paint. So when you shoot with spray cans, it's easy to get an overlapping effect. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll use natural body lines and I'll stop the move there. And this way, if you have a curvature here, it helps blend the color in. So the first coat that I'll shoot on with like some old cans of paint, because if it starts to spit and sputter and makes weird little things on here, it's not that big of a deal because we'll come back over it with another coat or two. But the important thing is that on your final coat, you want to make sure that you're using a nice fresh can that's not going to spitter and sput on you, so you can get a nice cover on there. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry up for a while. We'll go get some more paint, we'll do one last coat, and it'll be cool. In an effort to hide tiger striping, I'll go over and just do a light fog coat over the entire thing like this. Hopefully that'll hide anything. Okay, so now I'm going to do my final adjustment on my valves. I'm going to let it run for a while, get it up to operating temperatures, and then I'm going to take the valve covers off and show you how to do that. See, so I just put a rocker cut valve cover on here that I've cut out here because the oil will be shooting out. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to loosen up until it starts to clack. Then I'm going to tighten it down till it just lightly goes away, and then I'll give it 2 quarter turns, in other words a half a turn, and then that'll be done. Okay, see how I did that? Just back it up, it starts tapping. Then I just go ahead and lower it down slow till it stops. And then I'll give it 1 quarter turn and another quarter turn, and we're done. Okay, so for the rest of the time we got left in the day, I'm just going to get a wire wheel and clean up some of these nuts and see which ones look good. I'll put in the money spot and which ones I don't like, and we'll bolt underneath whenever we can see them. Okay, so we're all done. We got our block sanding done. We got the inside of the hood painted, our nuts cleaned up, our valves adjusted. A few other things I didn't bother showing you just because it was boring stuff. So tomorrow, I think we're going to start bolting this truck together, so you all better stay tuned.